very tempting to think that it's raining and there's not much point in going out. It becomes a bit of a logistical nightmare having to hold umbrellas and cameras, but the little voice in my head keeps reminding me, well, there may be opportunities that you won't get when it's dry. So here I am outside in the car, and I've just stopped in this little lane, and I've got the camera, the digital camera here that I'm using, framed up. I quite like the idea of this image of trees and the road and the water droplets on the windscreen. It kind of gives it a bit of a kind of Monet-esque kind of view. Whether it will work or not, I'm not quite sure, but we'll give it a go. So with the Canon FT QL that I've got here today, I've got a 50mm f1.8 lens, and I'm going to be using f16 because I want everything in focus, including the droplets if I can. And so the shutter speed is going to be 1/8. Now that's quite slow to hand hold normally, but I have the benefit, of course, of using the steering wheel and bracing it against that, and I have included a little cable release as well, so we'll give that a try and see what happens. Now, of course, one of the benefits of being in the car is that you're sheltered for one thing, and I'm safely pulled in on a siding of a road, and I've noticed this lone tree. I'm wondering whether I can take a photograph of that. I've got the Canon 135mm FL lens. I'll probably get something like that. That's what I'm looking at with the 135mm lens. So, well, let's give it a try. And I'll have to use f3.5 to separate it from the background. And as a result, I think I've got about a 30th of a second, which is okay. Pulled up again safely on the side of the road, and I noticed these pylons, and I do like the hedge. Kind of gives it a bit of context how mankind has had a mark on the landscape. Try it in portrait mode. Camera setting for the Canon FT is going to be f8 at 1/60th of a second. I've just got out of the car and I've just spotted, pardon the pun, these water droplets on the roof of the car, and I think in black and white these could come out quite nice with the blue, which will be rendered grey. Now the thing is, with the Canon 50mm lens, it's not quite allowing me to get close enough, so I've actually added this teleconverter, and as a result of that I'm getting slightly slower shutter speed, so I'm having to use 1/30th of a second at f1.8, and it gives me a very narrow band of focus, which I think could actually contribute to a really interesting image. So let's see if it works. Image selection time. Which of the images do I choose that the Canon FT allowed me to capture? Well, let's just review these 4 images. Looking at the first one here of the landscape, which has been taken through the windscreen, so hence the reason why it's got this the water droplets, which, as I think I said at the time, kind of made me think sort of Monet. And I have to say, I'm really pleased that I used the Canon FT for this particular outing. I think having the manual camera with the light meter built in, and I have to say the light meter's done a really good job. Just I think it all contributed to this. It slowed me down, made me much more considered when I took an image, and so potentially it's made it more difficult because I've got at least 3 images that I might like to print, but I really only want to print 1 if I can help it. And I think this is one of the candidates, definitely. I do like the image. Turning your attention to the second image, I don't think this didn't work, I have to be perfectly honest. Nice idea at the time to pursue. but it really doesn't work for me. I do like the fact that the tree does stand out from the sort of grey background. So that, from that perspective, and again, the 135mm lens that I used, the FL lens that I put to the Canon, again, it's done a really good job, but I'm afraid this doesn't do anything for me, so I think we can get rid of that image. Turning to, not that one, sorry, let's do this one. The electricity pylon, again, it's done a really good job in terms of exposure, looking rather like a menacing Martian over the landscape, and I do like this a lot, actually. Finally, the fourth image of the bubbles, or not bubbles, rather the water droplets on top of the roof of the car. Again, I'm really pleased that I chose to use the 2x converter. Just allowed me to, and you can see clearly where the line of focus is. So in review, I'm struggling to find which one I want to, because I quite like all three of them. I mean, I could print all three, I suppose, and I might well do, but I think for the sake of this little exercise, which one? Well, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? So, what image did we decide to print? Well, we went for the water droplets on the car roof, and so I've been in the darkroom and done my test strip, and here we go, here's the test strip. Now, unfortunately, it's not that conclusive. This is 4-second increments from 0 through to 36, and it's really not until sort of mid-20s that we're really seeing any image form, so it's not that conclusive. So I think what I'm going to have to do is another test strip, which is what in fact I did. And here's the second test strip, and what we've done is we've done 10-second increments. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 very clear ones there and 2 not so clear. So this is 10 seconds, 20, and we've got 30, 40, 50 and 60 seconds. So it's not until we reach sort of 40, 50 seconds that I'm really seeing what I would like to see in my image. So I'm not quite sure whether to go for 40 or 50 or maybe even 60, because unfortunately I can't see the bubbles here. So I think what I will do is I will go for something like 50 seconds, and it's going to be f11 the lens is set to, and so we see how we get on. It's our first image, 50 seconds, and I must confess I'm quite pleased with that. It could have potentially been a bit darker, maybe. I'm not quite sure, but I'm very pleased with it, and I'm pleased in the sense that I've been able to replicate in my mind's eye what I had in mind when I saw the image on screen. Obviously it's going to be slightly different in that you've got reflected light here rather than projected light from the computer. But overall I'm very pleased with the technique, if you like, behind the scenes, which I will reveal in a couple of videos in the future. Turning attention to the second image. So once again I'm very pleased with the way the image has come out. The full minute was definitely the right thing to do, I think. 2 images, really pleased with those 2 images. They may not be award-winning, but I'm certainly very pleased that, and maybe this is the takeaway from this experience, it would have been so easy to have stayed at home, feet up, cup of coffee, but going out and not really braving the elements, because of course I was in the car, but the fact that I went out and I got 2 images that perhaps I wouldn't have got on a dry day. So from that perspective, I'm very pleased that I went out. Until the next time.